Should I sell my services at a discount just to get my foot in the door? Does it make sense to offer a truck at break even just to win the load? Well, if you're currently brokering freight, these questions have crossed your mind, even more so now than at the beginning of the year. But how do you provide a discount without pigeonholing yourself and becoming the cheap carrier? Well, in this video, we'll cover strategies to win business without typecasting your company as the discount brokerage. So stick with us. I'm Benjamin Kowalski with Freight 360, where we provide the latest transportation sales tips and training videos to help you reach your goals faster. If you're a fan of our content, please support the show by smashing that like button below and sharing us with all of your colleagues. So, how can we compete in a trucking market with rates that just seem to continue to fall? Well, let's first set the stage. One of the biggest concerns for a freight broker is that when you offer a lower than market rate, right, to get your foot in the door, the customer then expects you to continue to offer below market rates forever. This is really common for newer brokers without a lot of experience. It's also common for veterans to fall into this trap when the market loosens and they see some of their business shrink. Why? Because it's easy to give in to the frustration and just provide whatever that prospect or shipper is asking for. And guess what? Shippers are always going to ask for lower than market rates, especially at the beginning of a relationship. Why? Because they don't know you. They don't know that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And for that risk, they expect a discount. A reason, right, that they can justify giving you this load instead of a broker they've been working with all year or for years, right? So how can we give them what they want and still maintain our reputation as a provider with fair market rates? Well, we're going to use a strategy where we disassociate ourselves and our brokerage with the specific load we're negotiating. And how does this work? It's simple. You are going to create a one-time situation that allows you to provide a discount because it's unique. For instance, my customer is asking me to cover, we'll say, a van load from Atlanta to Miami. The shipper wants to pay $1,800. I check DAT, I look at the 3-day average. The 3-day average is about $2,100 and the low is about $19, right? So they want to pay $100 less than the bottom of the market. Well, let's say I run a similar lane or this exact same lane for another customer and I've got really good carrier relationships in that region. And because of this, my carrier is willing to run this load for me for $1,750. And why? Because they also want me to win this customer really kind of on their behalf so that they can expand their business. Remember from some of our other content, you can typically get a lower rate from a carrier if you're providing other benefits. And in this case, this lane is just a really good fit for one of the carriers I'm already working with, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell the shipper on the fact that we can offer them a truck at below market rate on this specific load just for today. And why am I going to do this? I'm going to tell them it's because I've got a driver that happened to be stuck in Atlanta because the other broker he was working with, canceled the load on him. And he just really needs to get back to Miami for another load he's got scheduled. So what does that sound like? It sounds like, oh, hey Cindy, you're not going to believe this, but I got a driver that just happens to need the same load you've got to cover. He got jammed up by another broker he was working with that canceled the load on him last minute. Poor guy's stuck there and he's got no really way to get back other than deadheading all the way to Miami. So he's really happy to run this for you for your target rate. Okay, now the shipper's happy because you've gotten them out of the jam they were in. And you've successfully separated your identity as a brokerage from the context of this load, right? It's like being typecast for an actor. If an actor performs really well in a specific movie, then they want them to feature in every one of those same movies that are similar in the future. We don't want our brokerage and our personal reputation to be that of a discount carrier. because we don't want the shipper to only offer us loads that are lower than market that no other brokers want to accept. So the real big takeaway from this strategy should be that you're always creating a situation or a reason when you're either charging above market and below market, right? This doesn't just work on cheap freight at the beginning of the relationship. You should also be using this when you need to charge more than the market, right? So for instance, let's say it's Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, right? And the customer needs this load out of their dock, and under no circumstance can it sit there over the weekend. Well, I know I'm gonna have to charge them more. So I'm gonna explain to my customer or my prospect, right, why I've gotta pay more than I normally would during the week, right? Why there are gonna be less trucks empty and available between 4 o'clock and we'll say 6 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. Okay? It's gonna help separate your brokerage from being typecast as now the expensive carrier that is only used in very drastic and last-minute situations. Really, your goal in pricing should be to appear like fluid with the market to the shipper, with the ability to provide lots of different types of services under lots of different circumstances. As brokers, remember, we aren't the market, we don't control the market, we only can provide access to it. And along with providing that access, you should also be giving your customers or prospects a real understanding of where the costs come from and what you need to pay and how you're gonna execute what they need, right? So for more tips and training videos, be sure to watch our weekly podcast on our channel. Check out the description for links to group and private coaching, because remember, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.